Tech20Tuesday. My name is Jeff Whipple, and every week or every week and a half or a couple of weeks, we get together and we talk about something technology related for 20 minutes, and that's the name. So continuing on in our theme of artificial intelligence, and we can see already that AI is starting to really impact our world in all kinds of ways. We've just chatted about them in the last couple of sessions. There are autonomous automobiles and autonomous trucks, lots of applications in medicine. But there's lots of applications for teachers as well. So we really want to give you a few opportunities to have a digital assistant who can do a lot of some of those mundane and repetitive tasks for you, and even do a lot of digging for you. So today we want to talk about a few tips on writing prompts. And I know that the last time we had a little bit of trouble with ChatGPT, so I'm going to just start right there. Actually, I want this one. So if you're new to ChatGPT, it's kind of like the common core, if you will, of AI platforms that are being used publicly. And so if you just go to chat.openai.com, it will, or just Google ChatGPT, it'll give you a link, and you can come in here and hit sign up. To sign up, you just click the link, put in an email, and away you go. And it will create an account for you. And then once you sign in, your ChatGPT platform is going to look like this. So over here along the side, these are all chats, previous chats. So it's archived all of my old conversations or prompts. So these are chats that I've had with ChatGPT to mine some information or get some feedback or get some content. So this one here was a double-digit addition worksheet for a grade 2 class. I just did it for a sample. Here's Inside Voices school lesson. So this was a chat built around social stories. So it will write social stories for your EAs and for you to use with students. Here's one that I did for my granddaughter, Bumble's Festive Elf Missions. So some ideas for my daughter as she was looking for some content. So when we open up ChatGPT, it's kind of plain, but it's a very functional interface. And to start a new chat or a new theme or a new conversation with Chat AI, I just simply hit New Chat. And then I come down here and we're going to start to talk about the kinds of things that I can ask. So today we really want to focus on how do we write and create good prompts. So prompt writing is a real talent. And there are actually lots of people who are making 6 figures as prompt engineers. Who would have thunk? But prompt engineers are a very new and highly disciplined, highly paid discipline. And so there's lots of people out there who are learning and really focusing and making careers just out of writing proper prompts and teaching others to do it. When we think about computing, we think about, so you think about way back into the late 1950s with the US Army. They came up with this little acronym GIGO, G-I-G-O, garbage in, garbage out. So if we put garbage into ChatGPT, we're going to get garbage out. So we really need to think about how are the best ways and what are some of the things that we can do to best write prompts to provide us with the best possible responses from ChatGPT or from any AI platform. So the first thing that we have to remember is that we need to talk to ChatGPT like we would talk to a person, talk to a colleague, talk to a friend. So we really need to be thinking about how we can just have very common language when we talk to our colleagues or talk to ChatGPT or any AI platform. So that's the big thing. We want to include as much rich conversation as we can. So we just don't want to say, I'm looking for a good pair of sunglasses. We want to say, I'm planning a trip to the Himalayas, and I need a high quality pair of sunglasses to prevent snow blindness. So we want to use as much rich textualization in our conversation as possible. Those anecdotes about what we're going to be using things for and who we are really, really important. If you think about it, when we talk to a friend, sometimes they might miss the point of something that we've said, and we have to sort of come back around and require clarification or provide some clarification. This is called interactive prompting in our conversations. So it's the same thing for ChatGPT. Think of it as how you would talk to a friend. And if ChatGPT doesn't quite respond like you think it should, or if there are some confusion about what's coming, you may need to clarify. You may need to fill in a backstory or ask those complex questions in a little more complex way, or restate those questions based on the initial response you get from ChatGPT. And the other thing is that, so you're going to have to possibly have multiple questions, multiple responses with a friend, just to get to the core of the conversation and to a common understanding. It's going to be the same with Chat AI. So that's the first thing. The other thing is that we will always want to set the stage and provide context. So instead of a simple question like, how can I prepare for a marathon? We want it to be a little more nuanced, and we want to sort of put our role out there and provide that context. I am a beginner runner and have never run in a marathon prior, but I want to compete in one in 6 months. How can I prepare for a marathon? That would be more like, we would talk to a friend. Oh man, I've never run in a marathon. Got some tips for me? So we really want to have as much rich context in there as possible and provide details about the best or about the more details than the better, and provide and try to keep ask it to keep your answers short. So I'm going to put a couple of questions in here. So here is sort of one that you might a sample of how you might do some rich questioning or rich prompting. I'm planning to travel to Brazil in a few months and would like to learn some basic Portuguese to help me communicate with local residents. Instead of saying, I want to learn Portuguese, or how can I learn Portuguese? I want to give it some context. I'm looking for online resources that are suitable for beginners and provide a structured and comprehensive approach to learning the language. Can you recommend some online learning resources for learning Portuguese as a beginner? And so now when I send this, ChatGPT is going to start giving me some online resources, some places where I can start to go and learn Portuguese. Now, one of the things I did was I put in a very specific Portuguese for Brazil, because they speak Portuguese in Brazil, but it's slightly different anywhere in different places in the world where Portuguese is spoken. So I specifically put it in. So it's probably going to allow me to go, and when I go to these places, we can, or any of these online resources, I'll be able to do it. Here's another sample. And this isn't linked to Portuguese. This is linked to another conversation or another chat. So I'm going to hit new chat because I don't want it to get mixed up with my Portuguese chat. So this one is more school related. So I'm a grade 4 teacher interested in exploring how stop motion technology, and it's running away from me. So how stop motion technology can be used to improve student literacy. I'm looking for a clear and concise explanation of the technology and examples of how it can be used in the context of literacy and what basic resource options I will need to consider. So it took this question and broke it into the three things. Examples in literacy. So there's some things, basic resources, and of course, the example or an explanation of what it is. So I can now So here's the nice thing is that we can now continue on with this conversation. It recognizes that anything I put in after that is now a continuation of the conversation that we've had before. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say, give me 3 examples of how stop motion technology can be used to support the development of book trailers. So I've chosen that book trailer one, and so now I'm going to come down, and you can see that it's giving me 3 different examples. And it's giving me some basic resources that I'm going to need. And now let's say I'm going to do character interviews. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to say, develop, and it is very forgiving of spelling. So I'm just going to leave that spelling mistake in there. Develop a unit plan for character interviews with 10 45-minute lessons. And so there we go, lesson 1. So it's doing my unit plan for me. Like, this will do lots of stuff. And if I ask it to then expand upon these, it will absolutely do that. It will actually create my lesson plan, a detailed lesson plan for every one of these classes. Then I can say, create, because I'm on the same page, I don't need to be as detailed as I was prior. Create, but it is going back and referencing the conversation that we've already had in the background. So create an assessment rubric, and I'm going to come back here, create a 4-point assessment rubric for this unit. And it's going to do that. Away we go. So it's creating this rubric. It's 4 points, so it's giving me 5 different criteria that it's going to do it, so for a total of 20 points. And now what I can do is I can say, place this in a table. And so it's building the table for me. Now, a couple of things, and I just want to come back up a little bit, just so you don't waste too much time fighting with it. So you'll notice under each of these, it gives us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up, and I can submit feedback. This is important that you try to do this at least once in a while, because what it does, it actually tells ChatGPT about what you're looking for and what you value, and ChatGPT gets to know who you are and sort of prepares things. The other thing you notice here is that there's a clipboard. So if I click on that clipboard and then open up a Word document, I can paste onto that Word document. The one thing you will notice, though, is that if I try to do that with a table like this, and I simply click and copy the clipboard, when I go to a Word document, it won't do it very well. So what I'll tell you to do is to copy this and then come up here and get the last word on each one of them. So if I come in here and I am going to come down to the bottom of this Word document that I've got. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to open this Word document. And now when I paste it, it's going to give me the whole table. Just a little hint. So you can sort of move back and forth with these, and away you go. And so just when you're dealing with tables, always sort of copy and paste rather than using this little clipboard here. So I want to move on and talk a little bit about keeping ChatGPT on track. So you'll notice that when ChatGPT, it's like a conversation with a friend. Sometimes it'll get off onto a tangent. And so you will need to bring ChatGPT back around. The other thing is that you want to tell AI to assume an identity and a role. Actually, what I want to do is show you this one. So I'm a grade 4 teacher. Before we move on from the last one, which is to give details. And so I'm going to copy this. So we really want to give ChatGPT as much detail as possible. So in here, I'm going to put in a little prompt. And you notice in here, it's a detailed, it's got a lot. I could say, I'm a grade 4 teacher, write a story for me, a back to school story with 3 new students, and it would write it. But now I'm putting in a back to school story. So let's say I've got 3 new students into my class. So I'm a grade 4 teacher, write a short story for me, no more than 500 words. And that's an important thing to remember, is try to limit anything you're putting into 500 words. It sometimes causes, if it's longer, it'll cause it to hiccup and not really work all that well. Story takes place in 2024 in Fredericton. The entire story and it will write future science fiction. It'll write it in the past. It will do all kinds of things. And the entire story takes place inside a school playground on the first day of school. Inside the story are the following characters, all human. The teacher, make this person interesting and a bit unusual, give them a name and at least one skill or characteristic that influences the backstory and possibly influences the entire story. These stories, 3 students, they're new to the school and are nervous about fitting in. Their names are Todd, Mohammed, and Hope. And the story should help them find ways to make new friends and become a part of the class. So you see here now that I've got a lot of detail. And what it's going to do now is it's going to create me, and it picked Lincoln Elementary School. I did not do that. But you can change all of this stuff, obviously. And so here is a story about Mohammed, Hope, and Todd. And so it talks about all of their adventures on the first day, and how they found their place in the school, or started to find their place in the school. What a great way to introduce 3 new students to your classroom. So you can do all of these. The last prompt, or the last hint I wanted to give you, is that we want to be able to place students, or tell AI or ask AI to assume a role. So for instance, let's look at 3 different examples. Writing as a grade 4 student, describe the first day of school. And so you could say, describe the first day of school. Well, it's not going to know exactly from what perspective, but you can see now when I've asked it to do it from the perspective of a grade 4 student, it gave me one idea. If I come here and ask it to write from the perspective of a teacher, it'll give me something else. And if I ask it to write from the perspective of a parent of a grade 4 teacher or a grade 4 student, it will give me something else. So always try to give as much of a role and an identity to the AI chatbot as much as you can. That way you'll get a much, much richer experience. So, I did promise one more hint, and that is just play and experiment. So sometimes this is fun, and you could do this with students, or you can, and next week I'm going to talk about how you can create visuals, how you can create AI generated art. So you could do this and then have the snowflake next week. I'll show you how to do that. But imagine you're a snowflake. And so a lot of your experience with AI will be framed around how much you're willing and how much you want to play with it and challenge it and see what it can do. So I said, imagine you're a snowflake falling from the sky during a snowstorm. Describe your journey from the moment you form in the cloud to the moment you hit the ground. What do you see, feel, and experience? So you can see here that it's really doing some really cool things. And you could now ask this, write this in a grade 4 level. So it's going to rewrite it now and give it to me so it's a little easier writing. So you can ask it to do all kinds of stuff. So, AI is just going to revolutionize our world, but it can make your life a whole lot. So you don't have to go and create stuff. It will allow you to do a lot of stuff. So I'm just going to go over here to the chat, and I see a few people hanging out. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but if you do, feel free to just put them in the chat bot now, or in the chat in the thing on the in our Tech20 Tuesday chat for the. I don't see anything. But thank you all so much for coming. We'll be back again next week for one more before Christmas, and we're going to have a look at chat or AI-generated art and how you can create content that you can use as story generators or all kinds of different things. But hopefully we'll see you then. And